9:28. John and Jake talking about the proposed $5 a month tax to hire 700 more policemen. Sam on the Northwest Side, you're on 89 WS.
How are you? I think of us three, I'm the only one that lives in Chicago. And for $5 a month, which means $60 a year, a reasonably priced meal at a Chicago restaurant, I'm all for it. But with this caveat, it has to go into a fund called the 700 Policeman Fund, and the money that goes in there is on the internet, and the money that comes out of there is on the internet, meaning I see actually disbursements from that fund, not to the actual named police officers, but to pay for those police officers. It should not get, if he wants us to do that, he wants us to trust him and the council that this is where the money's going, then it should be easy to do with a little accounting. Money goes in, money comes out. I know I've paid for 7 policemen.
See, I agree. I agree with you. I have nothing against the $60 a year. I think $60 a year is cheap. It is, but you know what? They could just put it on the property taxes rather than go through this charade about putting it on people's ComEd bills.
Well, but you know,
I agree with you too, Sam.
You know, you'll have. The lights are on. People are. If you're responsible, you're keeping your lights on. You live in the city. I think it's not a bad idea. But again, I'm telling you, it has. And I used to be an accountant. It would not be very hard to do that. Put it right there on the internet. The money collected goes in. Anybody wants to look at it, and the money that comes out, individual disbursements that go to pay for these 700 police officers are right there, and we know we haven't been taken, and it's paying for the mayor's extra travels.
Sam?
Brazil.
Got to go.
Bye.
But great idea. Thank you. I like
Excellent,
that.
Sam.
9:30, time for news right here on 89 WLS.
Connect with the WLS AM app on your smartphone. Listen live online and catch up on Newsmaker podcasts at WLSAM.com.
9:37. I want to remind you, today's deal, Avenue Ale House, 50% off. Go to sweetjack.com for burgers, wings, and beers on the rooftop of Avenue Ale House. John Kass, Jake Hartford, in for Bruce and Dan.
Jake?
Yes?
What is going on in Libya? The President of the United States, Barack Obama...
It's him.
Still can't figure out what happened in Libya to our ambassador, who was Christopher Stevens, who was attacked by a sophisticated, gun-wielding mob using rocket fire. They killed him, then dragged him. They shot him up, dragged him through the streets, killed 4 Americans, Stevens included, and it wasn't a terrorist attack? Can you help me with this?
You know what? I don't know what to say, John. I really don't. Last week, Carney said it was the video. On Sunday, the UN ambassador, our UN ambassador, went on not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 Sunday morning shows. Susan Rice went on 5 shows saying it was the video. Earlier this week, as we've been here all week, the president of Libya says it wasn't spontaneous protests that attacked the ambassador. It was terrorists. It was planned.
Right, on September
11th.
Was that a day that maybe the Obama administration should have been
And the
thinking about?
administration, after the president of Libya said that, said, no, the president of Libya is wrong. They know more about what's going on in the country than he is, and it whatever. Then you get reports, CBS reported yesterday, that there weren't even any protests outside the compound where the ambassador was attacked.
In Benghazi.
And then Carney yesterday on Air Force One said, as if we were all stooges, well, yeah, it's self-evident that it was a terrorist attack. Oh, okay. After all that, after a week of saying it was the video, it wasn't terror, if they finally changed their mind and said, yep, it was a terrorist attack, okay. But then the president did this long interview, hour-long interview on Univision, and touched on different topics and was asked about it again. This being, why wasn't the embassy prepared, and was this a terrorist attack? He went into this long, tortured, and I read the transcript, answer, and still wanted to say it's a terrorist attack. I don't know why he can't say the word.
And he's also taken from Hillary's speech of a couple days ago where he says we cannot replace the tyranny of a dictator with the tyranny of a mob. So he's still implying that it's sort of mob action, anti-video thing. But his own people testified, the administration testified in Congress.
I know, 2 days ago.
2 days ago, said it was a terrorist attack. Mr. President, was it a terrorist attack, or were you more interested in sitting with David Letterman and retweeting your picture with the puffy pirate? The pirate
we'll
picture.
talk about that in a minute. But here's the way I look at it. You had this stupid video that, they kind of knew about in Egypt, and they were trying to gin up some protests in Egypt, in Cairo. And then the embassy goes on and tweets it worldwide, apologizing for it, which really set everybody off.
Right.
And then you've had Hillary and the president denouncing it, and they're running ads in Pakistan now. It's costing $70,000, which is a drop in the bucket, but apologizing again for the video.
They're saying that I can understand that. They are publicly disavowing the ad so that organizers can't say that the president or our government is supporting it. I understand that.
But you talk about drawing attention to the video. If you were doing a movie, had a movie out, and you wanted to get publicity, you couldn't buy the publicity they're giving this video. And now today, you've got people in Pakistan attacking movie theaters. Plus, there was a little deal up in China. The U.S. ambassador in China was trying to get into the embassy in Beijing in his car, and there were protesters outside the embassy, and they surrounded the car, and they were chanting, "Death to America," and "Return the money." They don't care about the video. They want the money we owe them.
You mean the trillions from our debt?
Sean in Elmwood Park. Hey, Sean.
Good morning, boys. Thank you so much for taking my call. So do you mean that ambassador, that Libyan ambassador, he didn't die of smoke inhalation like Hillary said in her 20-minute dissertation, where she said that the Libyans carried him to the hospital and they fought to protect him, but yet none of them got hurt, and it took just 12 hours to drag him to the hospital. So apparently when they carried him, they got lost, and the smoke inhalation, I didn't realize the side effect was the left side of your face was 3 times its size and a gash over your right eye. So my point is, what does this administration do that Nixon didn't do? It's lies after lies. I personally don't think we should be going through an election. I think we should be going through an impeachment hearing.
Or withdrawal.
Thank you, Sean. It's the ghost of Richard Nixon. It's having a bad effect on the inhabitants of the White House.
But here's the deal. With Richard Nixon, you had the media up in arms. You had the people up in arms. Here, no one seems to be. It's a terrorist attack. It's not. It's the movie. The guy's dead. Oh, whatever. What's on Letterman?
I understand, but but when you talk about the media, but the media is reporting. You've got CNN reporting. You've got CBS reporting. You got Fox reporting. They're all reporting, and the people. This is kind of like the $5 deal, where the government thinks the people are stupid. I mean, that's what we're doing now. That's what we're doing.
Right, because
they can say anything because they think the people are stupid.
People who are not getting their news from WLS or newspapers are getting tweets from Kim Kardashian about really important stuff.
9:44. Back after this on 89 WLS.
89 WLS.
Notre Dame this Saturday versus Michigan. Catch me for my Fighting Irish Spree beginning at 5 p.m. right here on Chicago's Talk Leader, 89 WLS.
9:51, Jake Hartford, John Kass. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, we'll be taking roll on Awake with Jake Saturday mornings right here on 89 WLS. Let's go to the phones. Mike in 355.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Just passing the Green Jakers exit here. I want you guys, as educated men of letters, to bring people up to date. Everybody has to dust off their copy of 1984 by George Orwell, where, we have a ministry of truth, and we tell people war is peace, and you can't believe your eyes. You just have to believe what Big Brother tells us. And we have to remember our history. It's the Second World War, where there was something called the Big Lie. And you had Huey Goebbels, that was George Goebbels' uncle, over in Germany. And if you said you just tell the same lie over and over and over again, and a big and a big and a bigger lie, people will believe it. And then we have to look to our history of George Santayana, who has a funny, one of those Hispanic names, but he is American. And he says those who cannot learn from the past are condemned to repeat it. And see, we're in a fertile ground here in the state of Illinois because the average ACT score for high school students is about 20, and in Chicago it's about 18, which is why we had to pay the teachers.
Yeah, and you just rattled off a whole bunch of names that I'm guessing most kids, or at least 4 out of 5, have no idea what you're talking about. Right, John?
All I want to know
Thank
is
you,
this. Mike, how many fingers do I have? How many fingers am I raised?
Well, you counted the thumb as a finger?
Oh, that was the whole 1984, which people haven't read either. But maybe they saw the movie.
Lee and Wilmette. Lee, you got about a minute.
Yeah, I mean, the reason they don't want to acknowledge it, it doesn't go with the Osama's dead, GM is alive storyline they're promoting. You know?
Maybe it should be Al-Qaeda's alive.
Al-Qaeda just killed our ambassador.
Well, neither one are alive. In fact, GM is demanding that the federal government get out because they make them uncompetitive. What happened to that story this week? I've hardly heard that.
And
I read that in the Wall Street Journal. I haven't heard it on any of the cable channels.
And the
not even Fox News.
And the feds are buying 1,500 volts for the Army.
But, Romney must have said something stupid, so let's concentrate on that. Maybe Romney said something bad.
I was just trying to visualize if he had volts in World War II, and they were traveling along with Patton's
sure, like
tanks,
darting in and out between the tanks.
And where would they stop to recharge?
The solar panels from Solyndra.
Oh,
come on,
Endeavor. Yeah. The shuttle Endeavor is making its last flight today, and we're going to talk about that later. And we're also going to talk about the man running for governor in Virginia. Kane wants to have a minimum tax for everybody. Very unusual. That we're going to hope a lot of stuff we're going to try to do in the last hour as we continue here on the Bruce and Dan Show. John and Jake in for them, 9:54.
WLS.
You reported software piracy to the business.
When you want to know what the candidates are saying, turn to your Common Sense election headquarters, 89 WLS.
9:59, John and Jake in for Bruce and Dan. We have one more